Welcome to the Show Me the Way podcast. My name is Andrea Miller. I am your host alongside a dear, dear friend, Tammy Thompson, and we are so excited to bring this podcast to you. So, the Show Me the Way podcast is dedicated to exploring the journeys of those who have faced adversity and found themselves on unexpected paths. We will have meaningful, thoughtful conversations about challenges we have faced and how we discovered and forged new direction. Prepare to be inspired and to uncover your own strength as you listen to relatable and motivating stories. Life has a way of twisting and turning, and we often need a fresh perspective to understand how to navigate. Let's show each other the way. Episode 6 brings us great perspective from a dear friend, Jackie Prewitt. She also partnered with Tammy and I at our direct sales company and was in a leader position. Although many of us looked up to her and looked to her for guidance, she always treated everybody the same and supported us no matter what. Since then, Jackie and I have grown a friendship, and I couldn't imagine having this podcast without dedicating an episode to her. She and I have matching TNT tattoos that stand for today, not tomorrow. And although she could have pinpointed a specific story of a time she had to pivot, she utilized the time to summarize what we're trying to do with this podcast and give overall perspective on life. The tattoo is a reminder for us. Don't put off something that you can do today because tomorrow is not promised. Tammy and I appreciated Jackie's relatable thoughts, and we look forward to sharing Jackie's way with all of you. Welcome back to the Show Me the Way podcast. We hope you're enjoying the episode so far. So, I've mentioned a few times that I've been friends with Tammy. I don't like to age us, but for over 20 years. And we've experienced so many things together. And one of those experiences was partnering with a direct sales company. So last week, we were honored to speak with one of the awesome women that we met through that company. And this week, we get to do it again. So I'm bringing in another woman that worked with us during that time, Jackie Prewitt. So excited to have her here. So I felt like I couldn't do this podcast without bringing her in. She's an amazing woman, wife, mom, speaker, and leader. And I'm so grateful for her friendship and support. Just like Terry, no matter what happened with the company, Jackie and I remained close, and we were probably closer now than we were even when we worked together. So I just knew that I wanted to have her on this podcast. She's given me so much perspective already with life, and all the way down to what I talked about before. We actually have matching wrist tattoos with TNT, which is not for dynamite. It's today, not tomorrow. And so that has just been a great reminder to me. And I'm really excited that we did that together. So we have that in common. But I just can't wait to chat with her and see where our conversation goes. So, Jackie, welcome to our podcast.
Oh my gosh, you guys. Well, first of all, I'm already on the verge of tears anyway because of what's going on in the world. And that was so sweet. I'm so honored to be here with both of you. Thank you for having me. And you are creating an incredible community within this podcast. And I'm just so like, it sounds weird to say I'm so proud of you because I'm not your mom, but like, I hope you feel proud of yourself. That's another mom thing. I hope you are proud of yourself. Like, I really do. You guys are killing it.
Thank you so much for saying that. It's been really fun, and it doesn't sound like a mom thing. It sounds like a supportive friend thing. So appreciate it. Thank you very, very much for saying
Women
that.
supporting women, right? That
Yes.
doesn't always happen. So it's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why so far women have been my main people that we have brought on here. Eventually, maybe we'll have some men. I keep saying that, but we've got a long list of women that we want to talk to, and I'm so excited that you're here on our 6th episode. So,
Woohoo!
yeah. So thank you for that. All right. Well, before we jump in, like I continue to say, Show Me the Way is just where people are sharing their stories about how they thought they were going down one path and they had to pivot. So we're saying, show us how you handled that and the perspective you gained and what kind of advice you can give to others. But before we do that with Jackie, just tell us a little bit more about you.
I knew you were going to say that. And it's like, hello, this is like the first question anybody asks you. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to say. Oh my God. And I think this speaks to us as moms for the most part, but even non-moms, I'm sure, feel this, where it's just like, okay, I've lived 44 years, almost 45 years. How the hell do you sum that up? Like, who am I? And I could go through this long diatribe, but what I will say is I live in Michigan. I actually grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan, went to college there, then moved away. And then just recently, the past, I guess, 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, time evades me. I came back with my family. I'm a mom of one. He's currently 12 years old in sixth grade. And I'm recognizing now that he doesn't need me as much. And I have to figure out who the heck I am outside of being a mom, which is a whole new world.
That is a great summary and welcome to my world because my 18-year-old, like, it's so crazy when you start thinking they don't need me. I mean, they're always going to need us, right? But it just evolves and changes. And you find out that it's more like, oh, here's my dirty laundry than it is, I need you to pack my lunch and take care of everything for me. So it's very different. I saw him last night after a soccer game and, he gives me a hug, but it's just different. So I totally get that, but he is only 12 and he's still at home with you. So take advantage of that.
I know. I call motherhood like totally bipolar because you can have two feelings at the exact same time. You know what I mean? It's like I feel so grateful that I get him. And like, he's like, I always tell myself he is the youngest he's ever going to be in this moment. Because we can always look back and be like, he was so little. He was so cute. Remember when he said, ice cream sandwich and he called it a completely different word? Like, you can do all of that. Right now, he's the youngest he'll ever be. So, like, enjoy it. So you could have that thought, and then you can have like the literal like sadness of mourning who he used to be. It's
Mhm.
the most bizarre feeling in the world.
It really is. That's a great way to describe it. And it just reminded me of my younger son. He used to say grill, Grill, for girl. So it
Oh,
was so cute. He'd be like, oh, I don't like grills. It was so cute. But you're right. You have to be in the moment. And it's a very interesting thing to be a mom. That's for sure. Okay, well, appreciate you sharing some of that. Think we'll continue to learn more about you as we continue to talk. You can tell that we're pretty good friends and we're very comfortable, and we can share whatever's on our mind. So appreciate that. Okay, so the big question. There's so many different stories. I mean, every person that we've had on here so far, I think Tammy and I say, oh, this person would be great because of this and this and this. But Tammy gave me really good insight for one of our first podcasts, and she said, don't lead them. Don't come up with the title before you talk to them. Let's see how it goes. So far, every time we've started this conversation, I'm not really sure where we're going to go, but it ends up being great. And we've received good feedback. So no pressure, but we would love to hear about a time in your life where you thought you were going down one path and you completely had to pivot. Loaded
yeah. I
question.
mean, I love that. I mean, I love that question. And I know that I had thought about that for a while leading up to this podcast. And it's like, there are so many different things that I could talk about, personally, right? But and I think it's such an important question in general, right? Because all of us have numerous things in our life that we have had to basically recognize, oh my God, that did not go my way. That's not what I thought was going to happen. And now what the heck am I going to do about it? And so I just think it's such an important question. And the way I want to answer it today is like, because of course there's many things in my life I could point to, but I just think, we're filming this on the day after Hurricane Milton like hit Florida, right? Tammy's actually there in Florida. Like, God bless. She's fine. Her family's fine. I shouldn't speak for you, Tammy, but we already talked about it.
No, we're good.
But it's just a reminder. This current event, all these current events that we have been living through, is a reminder of how fragile not only life is, but our plans are. Like, our plans are so fragile. We, of course, should be planning things in our lives. But at the end of the day, I'm sure God looks down and is just like, that's cute that you think you can plan that out. I know this is not like a faith filled podcast, but for me, I always have to remember and remind myself to turn to the actual planner because I'm not. I can try to pretend, but I'm not. What it takes to pivot is a recognition that like you can't be fully in charge of everything, and you have all these different personality traits or things that we build within like the where we were working, right, in a direct sales company that you mentioned. Like, you learn the skills, right, of resilience, of grit, of pivoting, of flexibility, of all these things that we try to teach our kids. That's what we need every freaking day of our life.
I completely agree. And you're making me think of, I was just listening to an empowered mom, a little plug for Empowered Moms, which is a group that one of our previous interviewees runs, Emily Jacobs. And we had a little session today. She does these Zoom sessions every month and she brings on speakers. And this woman came on and was talking about how to teach our children about everything that you're saying. And she said she used to be frustrated with her mom because her mom would say, "You can't teach an old dog new tricks." And she's like, "Yes, you can. You can always evolve. You can always learn." And not even old dogs, but the young dogs, these kids, we need to constantly try to teach them that. And I have a very, getting back to the boy who called grills grills, he's very stubborn, and she gave me a lot of good insight. Like, it doesn't matter, he's 15, but you can still try to teach him how to evolve, how to have resilience, how to have an open mind, because
Yeah.
we deal with change daily.
Having an open mind is so key, right? Especially when we're talking to kids who are just so freaking stubborn, or I guess most of them are. I was a saint when I was growing up, but like my kid, I don't know where he gets it. I'm just kidding. But, we have to teach them how to have an open mind, but also recognizing that the best teacher is action, right? And
Mm-hmm.
showing them how you handle it, right? How you handle when something doesn't go your way, or when you handle like somebody talking bad about you, like that doesn't just happen in middle school. That still happens like in our adult world. I don't know where I learned this, but thankfully I just know it, that like every time I go through something personally that's tough or challenges me, I share it with my kid. And I've done that for, as long as he could like understand what I was talking about. Like I've always just shared like, oh my God, like this is what's happening. I don't know what to do. And kind of taking him through the process so that he can actually see it's not just kids that need to do this stuff, and they learn through seeing
They
more than
definitely
anything.
do. Yes, for sure.
And
I
I
think
think
we
with
all do.
challenges too in life, there's many ways of facing the challenges and reacting to them, right? You can flip out and be like, "Oh, poor me," right? Or you can be like, "Well, wait a minute. This maybe isn't such a bad thing," and try to find that silver lining, or that maybe this is going to bring you to something better, even though it is a challenge, and having that positive attitude versus being down in the dumps about the challenges. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yes. I love that. So true.
Yeah, very good perspective. And you're right. A lot of us have a hard time right now with all of the challenges in the world. And yes, that hurricane in Florida
Mm.
really impacted a lot of people we all know and love, including my family. And it's been a scary couple of days, but how the world reacts to it, how the people that live in Florida react to what's going on, how they grow from it, and how they recover and recoup. That's something we all can learn from. So, good perspective for today, that's for sure. I, again, don't want to persuade people to go a certain direction, but I have mentioned a couple times these tattoos that we got together. Today, not tomorrow. Now, that's a little different than you had to pivot. How did that look? But I think it's really good perspective to what we're all talking about right now. So, why do you think that became a topic? We had this group, people talked about it all the time. They were taking a pen and writing it on their wrists. And Jackie and I actually live really close to each other. So, we were able to go and put these tattoos on our wrists together. And I don't really know where it came from originally.
Yeah. I think initially where it came from is don't wait for tomorrow what you can do today. So, in a business perspective, we were just like, we are going to do this today. Like, we're not going to overthink it. We're not going to wait until conditions are perfect. We're going to do it messy, And I think that's where it came from. And I think, of course, that perspective can be used for literally anything, not just business, right? But Andrea and I have always, ever since we pretty much met and started getting to know each other, we've always bonded and connected over just like that. I think we're both empaths, which I didn't even know what that was a couple years ago, but it's just like we feel the feels so deeply. And my husband is like, "Why are you getting so sad that he's growing up? That's so cool." And I'm like, "Because he's not little," And a lot of moms can relate to that. And I think Andrea and I just really we bonded over feeling that so deeply. And Andrea's a little ahead of me in terms of where her kids are in age, but we just feel it so much. And so we decided to get those on our wrist when we were kind of like, yeah, that's of course what you can't do tomorrow. I mean, do today what you could do tomorrow. But also, we have to be so freaking grateful for today. And my son was about to turn 10 at that time. So it was like 2 years ago. And I don't know why. I don't know if this was the case for you guys, but 10 was like such a big age for me for him turning it. Like I was a wreck. I was a total wreck. I was crying every day, multiple times. It was a disaster. And I was
Double
like,
digits.
yeah, I don't know. I didn't expect it, you know? And of course, like this is what it's about. Things are going to come your way, especially as a mom where you're just not expecting it. And I was like, what is going on? And I want to be thankful for this moment because I have so many friends who are not blessed to see their kids grow up, who have maybe prayed for a kid their whole 30s and still don't have one. Like, so you can point to so many things of where you have such blessings that others don't have. I don't want to be sad about the fact that he's growing up because I'm so lucky, you know? Today, not tomorrow. I'm going to be thankful for what I have today. I'm not going to worry about tomorrow because tomorrow may not come. And we say that all the time, but like it's freaking true. So, Andrea and I were just like, we gotta go. I got a tattoo when I was 18 years old in college, and I've regretted it ever since that day. I hated it. My mom told me like a week after I got it, "You're going to regret it. What are you going to do on your wedding?" And then, of course, she was right. And on my wedding, I was trying to take makeup to cover it. You know, why are they always right? Moms are always right. You know.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we are. We are. And so I was like, I'm never getting a tattoo again. It's the stupidest thing ever. Like, they're stupid. Why would da da da? But then I was like, I need this reminder every single day. So I just love that we did that together.
Me too. And I love that story and that perspective on it. Yes, I really like that it's on my wrist because I will look at it and it's a good reminder when you're ready to put something off. Or, I mean, not to say that I don't still put things off, but it is a nice reminder occasionally when you're like, wait a minute, I need to do this today. It really goes back to my story that I shared in the first week's podcast about my son. I just had this path carved out for my family. And in one day, it completely changed. And I had to start thinking differently. And it's just such a mindset change. And not that you have to go through something that significant to get to that mindset change, but it's just great to share that with others so that hopefully they can understand it earlier than I did. It took me a long time to recognize the importance of that. You really are not promised tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, and it can it change in a moment, like you said. And that, I would be so freaking sad if I die tomorrow and I spend today being sad that my son is not 5. You know, how ridiculous. We hear it all the time. Like, be present, be thankful for what you have today. I just think it's so important to like have that reminder, whether it's a tattoo or a quote on your mirror in your bathroom, like something that reminds you to stay in today, because that's all we have.
I'm glad you brought that up. The stickers or the post-it notes on your mirror because that comes a lot from, like we said, we worked together in this direct sales company and Jackie held a high leadership level, although always treated everybody the same, no matter what level anyone was at. And she would always talk about the importance of that. So do you still have post-it notes on your mirror?
I do. I have two, and one relates to this conversation. I used to always say this, and I always heard it too. God never gives you anything you can't handle, but actually, He gives you things purposely that you can't handle, right? So that you can lean on Him. And so that's a quote that I have on my board that I just look at all the time. It's just a reminder that I can't fix it. I think Andrea, you might be the same. A lot of us moms are. We fall into the I can fix it. I can fix it. You know, whatever it is, I got this. I got this. And we become our own gods. We're worshiping our, let me just get better. Let me read a book and I'm going to get better and I'm going to learn this. And sometimes the best thing that we can do is lean on Him, and we will learn what we need to learn through Him, and those challenges are able to be overcome through the right means. I love that. Yes, I have lots of quotes. I have lots of my husband gets very annoyed because whenever I have to return something, I keep it on the counter until if it goes away, I'll never remember. I need the visual reminders.
I do the same thing. I have post-it notes and I have to-do lists everywhere. I love the post-it on the mirror. I have some up on my computer monitor still, but I don't have them in the bathroom. And that's where probably I should put some because we're there in front of the mirror every single day, right?
It's the
Tammy, do
first
you
thing
have
we
any
do. Yeah, in the morning we go brush our teeth, right?
right. Do you have any reminders around Tammy? Do you do anything like that?
I have over my desk different framed quotes. They're more related to goals or work related things. Some of them are just funny, just like when it comes to spreadsheets, I excel. Anybody who knows me, they just die over that one. But then be the person you want to work with. And so I have those
Well, we
that
would
I can
like you
think of.
to find one right now and put today, not tomorrow.
Yeah.
Since you don't have that
Yeah.
tattoo, we
Yeah.
need you to have that little sticky note.
Uh,
So, Jackie, you're speaking so eloquently about all kinds of things that we face instead of one specific thing because we have so many different challenges or different points in our life where we've had to pivot. So, I appreciate you kind of summing that up. But if you could go back in time and talk to yourself when you were younger, what might be some things you would say to maybe help figure some of this stuff out earlier? I wish I could have told myself some things when I was younger.
Gosh, that is such a good question. I think at the end of the day, for me, what it would be is like I've always been somebody that gets sad about time passing. And I've actually like been like, what is it about me that makes me like so sentimental about time passing? There's gotta be something in my past that happened once. I don't know. Like I still don't know the answer to that, but I would just go back to my younger self and just be like, you like look at all the blessings you have right now, appreciate it, don't get sad about college ending. I mean, I remember being so torn up about college ending. I'm like crazy, but we have so many seasons in life and they all play a purpose for us. I was talking to Andrea earlier about this. I think so many times we try to define ourselves, and it's this definition that shouldn't change, when I was in the working world, and also working a side business in direct sales, my goal was to retire myself. I want to get out of having a boss. I want to do my own thing. All the things, right? What you've heard many people say, maybe even yourself. And I finally did. I finally retired myself. I got out, like all the things. And I was like, yes, I am no longer an employee, you know? And then what happened? 4 years later, I'm an employee again. And so many people could look at that and be like, you failed. I could look at it that way. I don't. But no, it's just different seasons in your life. Like when I wanted to retire so bad, my son was little. And I wanted to go on the school field trips and not have to tell somebody that I'm leaving, those kinds of things. And now he doesn't need me as much. I still want to be around. And luckily I have a job where I get to do a podcast in the middle of the day because I work from home. But there's just seasons in our life. And I think that if we, again, try to plan everything out perfectly, we're going to be disappointed instead of just recognizing this is a season I'm in. I'm really enjoying XYZ. I want to get better here, da da da. And who knows what next year will bring, or next week, or tomorrow, even.
I think that's a great answer. Different seasons. You brought like three different things to my mind as I was listening to you talk. First of all, I want to address this. You're not crazy. I think some people wear their emotions. I think you and I definitely wear our emotions, more outside than inside. And there's no right or wrong if you keep them in or you don't. People are just different. So you're not crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm actually glad that your son sees the real you. You don't try to pretend you're something else for him because he needs to see who you really are. The second thing is he still needs you just in different ways. So we have to keep reminding ourselves of that. Okay. That's what keeps me going and not crying every time I see my older son because they just need us in different ways. And we still need our parents in different ways too. And we're in our 40s. So we have
Yep.
to say that. But then the last thing too is that, I think that we do have different seasons. You're right. You can't look at something like that as a failure. I get frustrated when people say, I will never do this again, or I will never do that again. You can't say the word never because you have no idea what life is going to bring you. Tammy could have said, I'm never moving to Florida, and look at her. She's in Florida. And thank goodness again that the hurricane did not impact where she lives. Or, people that get divorced and they say, I will never do this again. I'll never get married. And then they find this person that really changes their lives and they say, hey, we're going to get married. So try not to use the word never because you just don't know. At the time, what you wanted to do with your direct sales business, you were able to do, but it didn't mean that that was always going to be life forever. So I'm glad
Mhm.
that you found something where you can be on this podcast during the day. And I just think it's a really good reminder to us all. Today, not tomorrow. And just don't say never because you have no idea what the future is going to bring your way. So, love that. Really good advice for us and for those that are kind of trying to figure things out at a younger age. So, I appreciate that. Well, like I said, we didn't specifically point out exactly a point that you pivoted, but I love that we kind of went a different direction with this particular episode because this is such good advice for all of us for all of the different challenges. I keep saying everyone has all these different stories that they rely on when I bring them on this podcast, but I like that you kind of summed up. Here's my thoughts on dealing with any kind of challenge that comes our way. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for having me. And I think it's so important to recognize that whether you have something super massive that smacks you in the face, like a kid being born with a disability, or you have a hurricane that takes away your house, like those are obvious examples. And I think a lot of times people, including myself, can minimize what we're going through because it's not as bad as so and so. We're all going through specific challenges so that when we learn how to overcome them, we can share them. And so I just think it's so important. And maybe I should have gone through something specific, but I fell into that trap just now, right? I fell into the trap of, well, I don't really have anything super big. So let me just generalize it. But I think it's a really important reminder for me and for everybody that, I used to say this all the time in our business, Andrea. This will sound familiar to you, but every challenge that we come up against, whether it's small, it doesn't matter the size, we're going through it for a reason. Because when we get to the other side, or even when we're still going through it, if we share it, that's our superpower. Transparency is probably the biggest strength that we have. If we can share things that are personal, that are, a lot of times people wait till the end, and that's fine. But we are better when we share what we're struggling with because it helps other people. And we're never meant to go through something tough alone, ever. Obviously with God, and then with community. Like, we're supposed to be in community with others. So, I just wanted to say that too.
Oh, I love that. It's a perfect summary. It's all relative, is what Tammy's heard me say a couple of times on these podcasts. But yeah, it's all relative and also relatable. So I don't like when people say, "Oh, well, I've gone through this, but it's nothing like what you've gone through." And I'm like, "Don't do that. It's all relative, and what you're facing right now is important to you. So feel free to share it." And to Jackie's point, we can all relate. So if you keep it to yourself, you might be missing the opportunity to help somebody get through what they're going through. So, perfect summary, and exactly what we're trying to do with this podcast. So thank you so much for sharing all of that and for giving us your lunch break here today. We have just loved having you on. Like I said, I couldn't have this podcast without having you here.
Well, I'm so proud of you guys, like I said, and I just want to encourage your listeners that if they are thinking about doing something, if they are thinking about trying something new, something that scares them, do it messy. Start today. You don't have to get your ducks in the row because they're never ever going to be in a row. And take Andrea and Tammy's lead. Like, they are doing such a great job. I know that they don't know everything about podcasting. They're learning it as they go. So use their podcast as an inspiration to you, whatever it is that you're thinking of that's on your heart, or maybe just in the back of your mind, sending little whispers. Just take action, because that's the fastest way to figure out if something is the right thing for you or not.
Thank you for that. And you don't have to go get a tattoo, but like I was telling Tammy, get a Post-it and put TNT, because that's the advice that Jackie and I want to send to you, to all of our listeners today. Just remember that tomorrow is not promised. Thanks so much for being here. And I'm excited that we get to share this with everybody.
Thank you guys. So great to be here.
Thank you for joining us for the Show Me the Way podcast. We truly appreciate you tuning in to today's episode about overcoming adversity and finding your path. We hope it brought you new insights, empowered you with perspective, and inspired you to find joy in your journey. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and share it with someone who could use a little motivation. Until next time, keep seeking the light and showing the way.